In the wild, wolves not only have to fight against the cold and hunger, but also millions of parasites that cling to them, draining their life force. But even in danger, there are still kind hands ready to help. Today, Top Wildlife Rescue will bring you some touching rescues when experts intervene in time to help wolves escape the burden of parasites and regain their freedom. Let's follow this journey. The winter forest was eerily quiet. A giant white wolf stood motionless. Its body was not covered by lifeless stones, but by thousands of parasites, each a miniature nightmare. They clung tightly, draining its life force, turning the wolf into a living ruin. The little wolf cub witnessed everything, its heart broken. Understanding that time was running out, it left its mother, rushing into the snow, carrying the last ray of hope. Its journey was a race against death, each step a heartbreaking cry for help. The roar of the helicopter echoed, dispelling the terrifying night. The orange-clad rescue team appeared, angels responding to the wolf cub's plea. They saw the big wolf, and horror was evident on their faces. But fear did not stop them. With courage and determination, they began the rescue operation. Each parasite was carefully removed. Each time a painful groan echoed in the forest. Although it was difficult, they did not waver. The battle against thousands of parasites was long, but in the end, they won. The body of the big wolf was freed. It collapsed weakly, but was still alive. The rescue team continued to clean, disinfect, and inject medicine, bringing hope to the poor animal. Finally, when dawn broke, the big wolf recovered. It looked at the wolf cub with grateful eyes, then turned to the rescuers. I had walked for miles in these mountains, the mist hanging thick like a veil of mystery. Every step a discovery, until I saw it. A small creature, fur as white as snow, approached me with extraordinary determination. A wolf pup. Normally I would have been wary, but there was something in its eyes that told me otherwise. It was a plea, a silent plea so heartbreaking that it broke my heart. It wanted me to follow it. I didn't hesitate. I knew that something was wrong, that fate had summoned me here. The path Luna had led me on was difficult and dangerous. It was as if the wolf pup was testing my resolve, verifying whether I was worthy of the task it was about to entrust to me. And then I saw her. Lyra, the wolf mother, lay silently on the mossy grass, motionless. As I got closer, I realized why. It wasn't a simple wound or illness. It was something much more hideous. Hundreds, thousands of creatures were attached to her body, each one a tiny parasite, sucking the life out of her. I had never seen anything so horrible. I immediately took action. Fortunately, my survival instincts urged me to always carry a multi-purpose first aid kit. The work was torture, the sound of things moving, breathing heavily. Each creature was a struggle, a painful effort to remove, not to hurt Lyra. Lyra whimpered weakly, but she did not resist. Perhaps it understood that I was here to help. Luna watched, her large eyes filled with fear and hope. The little creature never took her eyes off me, and her presence spurred me on. The clamps became extensions of my fingers, carefully removing each creature. Then I used the brush to clean the stubborn patches, the scrubbing sound removing what they left behind. The antiseptic helped soothe the inflamed skin, the wounds caused by the disgusting creatures. I wiped and scraped layer after layer. The stench was strong, the wind was howling, my hands were numb. It began to rain, drops of water mixed with sweat and tears, but I couldn't stop. Lyra, this little wolf, the whole wilderness counted the seconds. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the last animal was eliminated, sighing wearily but contentedly. I stood back, admiring my work. Lyra looked different. Tired, scarred, but free. Luna moved closer to her mother and began to lick, a sacred ritual of love and bonding. Feeling immensely happy to be the witness, I knew I had done my part. In the lonely heart of the Arctic, where the cold, howling winds carve stories of resilience on the ice, the mother wolf suffered under a strange burden. A giant fossilized snail shell, decorated with magical spirals, stuck to her back, tormenting her body and binding her spirit. Her suffering echoed to her only child, a wolf cub who had only learned to walk on ice, but whose heart was stronger than ever. With unrivaled determination, the wolf cub ventured into a frozen desert, eventually meeting a man named Elias, a lone camper, immersed in the solitude of the harsh land. With pleading cries and a pounding heart, the wolf cub begged him to lead him before his suffering mother. Elias felt a sharp pang, but he knew he did not have the strength to fight that ancient burden. Helpless, he called upon a secret unit, a rescue team equipped to tackle the impossible. The guards of the wilderness answered. Their helicopters tore through the icy air, the light from their searchlights illuminating a strange sight, the tenacious wolf captured by a relic of a bygone era. After a silent but urgent investigation, the rescue team came up with a daring plan. With meticulous care, they released the large chains, each link forged with purpose and determination. Wrapped around the monstrous shell, fate now rests upon a mechanical giant, a giant crane, a metal giant with a heart of precision. With a roar that shakes the ice, the beast has awakened. Its cables stretch as anticipation creeps into the silence. Under the cold sky, the rescue team springs into action, each one a cog in a sympathetic machine. With a carefully calculated tension, the crane begins to lift, telling the creaking silence. The shell, with each twist worth centuries, moved, resisted, and finally gave way. The sound of separation echoes in the icy greatness, followed by the mother wolf's broken, liberated howl, a primal symphony marking the rebirth of freedom. In the snowy wilderness, where life struggles to survive, a silent cry for help echoes. The rescue team found it. A white wolf, majestic in beauty, now shrouded in a terrifying cloak. Millions of bees clinging to it, destroying its vitality. With no hesitation, they began the fight. With care and respect for all living things, they gently brought the poor wolf to shelter, a warm fortress in the harsh cold of nature. First came the smoke, a gentle mist that chased away the small invaders, giving them a chance to approach. Little by little, they removed the evil honeycomb structures, freeing the wolf from the burden of pain. After removing all the beehives, they gently sprayed the wolf's skin with a layer of antiseptic, soothing the wounds and preventing infection, giving it a chance to recover. Under the soft blue light of the aurora borealis, a giant Arctic wolf was sleeping deeply on an iceberg. Its back was covered with strange pebbles. As dawn began to clear the darkness, a group of brave researchers arrived at the scene. They tried to gently move this giant creature, bringing it to a nearby icebreaker. On board, a dedicated medical team was waiting, ready to meticulously remove the stowaways and heal the poor wolf's wounds. These healers used sophisticated techniques, including small surgical instruments and water jets, to carefully remove these parasites, demonstrating their dedication. After undergoing a meticulous cleansing process and antibiotic treatment, the wolf seemed to undergo a clear transformation. The creature's recovery was marked by a sumptuous meal of fresh meat, which it ate with relish. After this attentive care and attention, the wolf was ready to return to the frozen wilderness. As it stepped out of the ship, its mighty figure painted the white horizon. The wolf looked up to the sky. As it gave in to its instinctive call, a powerful howl echoed across the frozen wasteland. In the silence, a mother wolf lay motionless on the frozen ground. Her fur was covered with pieces of shells and strange objects, as if she had drifted from somewhere far away. The wolf cub stood beside her. Her anxious eyes followed her mother's weak breathing. A howl rang out, trembling and fragile in the snowy forest, then quickly disappeared into the distance. She turned away. Her small feet stepped on the cold snow, following the small stream, stopping for a drink, then continuing on. In the dim snow ahead, the campfire flickered, emitting warm streaks of light. The wolf cub crept toward a campsite where a man sat by the fire, gently holding out a metal cup. The wolf cub hesitated, then gradually approached. The firelight highlighted the fragile gray fur. There was no threat, only gentleness and acceptance. In the snowy forest, the man and the wolf cub walked together, leaving two parallel tracks of footprints on the white ground. In the cold of winter, the mother wolf was being cared for. Patient hands removed the pieces of bark from its back, grooming the fur that had become rough from fatigue. A white liquid was poured, gradually seeping into the fur, carrying the hope of revival. The mother wolf stirred slightly. Her breathing became a little stronger. In the night sky, the full moon shone brightly. The mother wolf stood beside her cub. Both of them raised their heads and let out a long howl, echoing throughout the snow-covered forest. No more cold, no more loneliness, only connection. A dire wolf wanders through the woods, drawn by a giant beehive hanging from an ancient tree. As it investigates, unwittingly unleashing a swarm of angry bees. The wolf is covered in stinging bees. Chaos ensues as the venom takes hold, causing a situation that has to be seen to be believed. But don't worry, because a wildlife rescue team will be on the scene shortly. Sirens wail through the frozen forest. They will travel through the treacherous terrain to save our unfortunate wolf. In a heartwarming rescue effort, the rescue team will work tirelessly to extract the venom and free the wolf from the beehive. We trust you will join them, because every action makes a difference. Then they took the wounded wolf to their remote shelter. Here it was carefully tended. The wounds were cleaned, and as the small wounds healed, the wolf began to recover. As its health improved, the wolf enjoyed the simple pleasure of eating a hearty meal, seemingly marking the end of the days of hunger. It was a sight to behold. After all the tireless efforts, the poor wolves were finally freed from the burden of parasites. Each wound was healed, each fur was cleaned, and each wildlife had the chance to continue on its journey. These images are not only spectacular rescues, but also a testament to the compassion and perseverance of humans for nature. At Top Wildlife Rescue, we believe that every creature deserves a second chance. And with everyone working together, we can create miracles, helping the wild world become a better place. Please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next touching rescue stories.